Hey, my friends, it is Friday and another day of Building Wins Live here on the one and only Building Wins Live. That makes sense, right? So we've had a great week this last week out on the road at Source One Marketing, and now we're doing one of my favorite things every week, which is to chat with another great guest. This guy is a combination of from the industry and also a sales guru, master salesman, master trainer, master speaker. Just, I'm doing my best to make him sound really, really big because when he comes on, we're going to have the best show maybe ever. So get ready for my friend, Chuck Thokey. Don't go away. Hey, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Randy. How are you, buddy?
Oh, man, I think I could do better, but it might be tough, right? You know,
That's the way I feel every day.
that's the beauty about doing what we do. And I like to say a lot is I love what I do and I do what I love. I wish I'd wrote that myself, but I haven't figured out who wrote it. And if nobody claims it soon, I'm claiming it. But it's I just uh, on the road all week and just doing what I love, which is out, seeing customers and building relationships and doing business. And, God, it's just been fun. How about you? What have you been up to?
Man, we are getting ready for our next top rep. It seems like every day we're talking with more contractors and more companies, bringing in very large companies, very small companies into the next event at top rep. So that's what we're focused on right now.
Nice, nice. So before we get started, if you like, give us instead of the where's Waldo, who in the heck is Chuck Thokey? Give us the background, where you come from, and how you got to where you're at now. Because you are recognized as America's top-rated home service and sales leadership training guy, and I mean that's a pretty big deal. And how did you get there, though? What's the background of Chuck?
Well, I didn't start out in sales. I was actually an aerospace engineer for a company called Learjet and Bombardier. And
Heard of
9/11
those?
happened, kind of catapulted into a new dimension, which is sales, and found out I was pretty good at it. And from that point on, I went through mortgage, got into a company called Bath Fitter, helped
Hmm.
Bath Fitter get to where they are today. Very large, very good company. And from there, got into roofing and then consulting. Inside the roofing industry, I went into a company called Able and Mr. Roof, and
Hmm.
they're now the largest residential roofer in the United States by far. And then going into consulting, I've been able to help so many different companies to not only just grow, but grow astronomically to the point where they never thought they could get there. And before long, it's gotten so big that we started events, bringing people in to show them, in large groups on how to get to that point, not just getting into a company, helping them grow, getting into the next company, helping them grow. And so that's one of the things I'm sure you want to talk about is how do you get to grow a company like that? But most importantly, how do you grow a company like that and still be able to sustain that growth? And that's what we're able to help most companies with within sales and the company itself.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And as we are talking off air, I'm a lifetime sales guy, pretty much mostly B2B, but sales is sales at the end of the day, right? It's the relationships and it's the concepts that we're going to talk about today a little bit. But so you're kind of in-home sales uh, is really your genre, if you will. Um,
It really is. Yep.
so let's diffuse one thing right off the get-go because I know it's one of those areas that and everybody thinks that you know where I'm going to go with this. Everybody thinks is the in-home sales guy and they're going, "Ah, crap, this guy's here finally. I know I need a roof, but this guy's going to beat me up and he's going to high pressure and this is going to really suck. This is going to be awful," right? That's kind of I'm not too far off, right? In a lot of cases. Uh,
People look at it as the one call close and they get really
yeah.
scared. It's just not the way it is anymore.
So, and I'm glad you said that because I made a couple notes I was thinking about talking is push, 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 right? Because that's the concept we all think. And I bought encyclopedias that way from a guy once because I wanted to leave the house after 4.5 hours of talking about encyclopedias. It's like I'll buy $600 of encyclopedias. $600 is 1980 money, okay? But I bought him
Yep.
because I just want this guy to leave my house, and I couldn't think of any other
We did
way
the
to get
same
him
thing when I
out.
was a kid.
Right. And encyclopedias that I never wanted, and probably never read, but they look good on a bookcase. But so it's not about one day close, so to speak, one time sell, 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 push, push, push. Uh, so let's walk through that a little bit.
So it's when we look at a one call close, that's what we want. That's what we go after. But when people think of a one call close, they think of the beating up the homeowner, not leaving the house, making sure that, I'm gonna take this thing all the way to the grave. And it just isn't like that anymore. I mean, there is nobody that can still sell like that and still be successful. Now we have to have that relationship. Now we have to get that relationship within 15 minutes
Right.
in the beginning of the appointment. So it's not like a B2B where we're going to go out, take them golfing or anything like that, take them out to dinner. But we do need to get that rapport. We need to get that relationship very quickly. We need to get them to understand who we are as a company and how we're different. So if you look at like the blue ocean strategy, the book itself is very boring, but the concept is amazing. If you take a look at your company, whether it's a B2B or B2C, and say, hey, how are we going to take ourselves out of the red ocean, which is the bloodbath? It's the way that everybody does the exact same thing. We're all going to fight over the same piece of meat. How are we going to take ourselves out of that and put ourselves into the blue ocean where we don't have competition? Even in roofing or in one day baths, we're able to put ourselves in such a position that we can explain things differently, we do things differently, and we sell differently, to where the homeowner looks at us and says, you know what, that's different from everybody else. That I never thought of it that way. And now we just put ourselves into the blue ocean. We don't have competition, and we can close it while we're there without sitting there and beating them up for an hour and a half to 4 hours, hoping that they don't want to do this again.
Exactly. So it's really there's no big close at the end, which everybody waits for, right?
Right.
Because you're really literally closing them from the second you walk in the door. And I made a note here: trust, right? In my world of B2B, trust and relationship and friendship with the customer is something that I built over the years. You've got to condense all that in an hour to 3 hours, right? And that's a
That's right.
challenge. And is it trust first? Because you don't have really time to make them friends, right? In my world, we eventually become friends. Most of the time, I have a lot. I refer to most of my customers as customer friends because most of them really are. I've been to funerals and weddings and church and whatever with a lot of these people, right? But
Right.
I still need to build trust first, and then the friendship comes. And in your case, with the in-home world, you got literally minutes to build that trust level, right?
Right. When you look at, the fact that I only have so much time, my job is to make sure that they're willing to look at me and say, hey, this person is going to do exactly what he says he's going to do. But before I can do that, I have to get their trust, and there has to be some credibility so that they are even willing to continue to listen to me. There's many times when, even when I was in the house long ago, I'm still in the house today, but when I was in the house from on a daily basis, that I would look over and there's like, they just don't trust me. You can tell in their face that I have done everything that I could. And, they, as the saying goes, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I don't think that, we could get close if we were cremated together, but for whatever reason, and so, we have to look at this and know that there has to be trust established before there's anybody that's going to be able to give me a deposit for anything, no matter what it is. And so we getting that trust, getting that credibility is to show them how we're going to who we are, and to be a little bit more vulnerable in front of them.
So without exposing all the great things you do, because we want people to still come to Top Rep, which we'll talk about in a little while. But for this, say for even the experienced guy that's maybe struggling or doesn't understand the change of how this is done, or for a new guy getting started, how do you build that trust? What's the keys to building a trust so these people, I'm really interested because, as I said, I have 10 calls to do that. You have 10 minutes to do that. And so, I mean, if there's anybody good at building trust, it's guys that do what you do. So how do you go about that? What's the ABCD of that whole world?
One of the easiest ways of building trust is before you ever get there. So as the company can help that sales rep by sending a text message, letting them know that, your sales rep, Randy, is going to be there tomorrow at 8 a.m. And here's just a short video, a little bit about Randy. So it's about you, not so much the company, but they get a chance to see a little bit about you. So by the time you get there, they're like, hey, honey, Randy's here. And it's like they're talking about you as if they've known you. They saw your video. They know a little bit about you. They know you have a couple kids, that you have a wife, things you like to do. And oh, by the way, here's how this appointment's going to go. So by the time you get there, you're shaking your hand, that it's a face they recognize. And then from at that point, then it's all about how you can be personable to them. The other piece of this is that when you get to the house, most homeowners, they have a certain anxiety wondering, am I supposed to lead this guy around my house? How is this going to go? So you have to have that entry and warm up statement. You're going to let them know the rules of the game. They're going to let them know that this is what's going to happen while I'm here today. Fair enough. And they're going to say, yeah. So at that point, they can set themselves at ease knowing that, Randy's got this from now on out. I mean, he's gonna lead this entire appointment.
That's really interesting because I've always been a big believer. I'm a personal branding guru, if you will. That's a great word, but I believe in it. I spend a lot of time with it because I've always believed, not always, but for a lot of years now, I've believed that the brand is Randy, right? In my case, whatever I'm selling is what I'm selling, and what I'm going to help you buy, what I'm going to help you to make a profit. In case of my world of B2B, but you got to sell you. And I love how you talk about letting these people know who you are before you get there, because you've cut through that first 10, 15 minutes of garbage that nobody wants. Either side, right? Nobody wants that. It's uncomfortable. It's not fun. You can go off the rails real fast if it's not handled correctly, right? You've got it out of the way early. Right. So I think that's pretty brilliant I love to hear you talk about, from an installed sales world, to still sell you. And I think that's pretty key.
Inside of COVID, everybody thinks that, you have to sell from Zoom or something like that. And it's been tried, and it's failed, but it's tried. And people still want that personal touch. There's many times when people try to sell through Zoom and they give the estimate. And what happens in the end is they still go with the person that came out, took the time to come out and inspect their project, whatever project that might be. But while they're in the house, they're a guest. They're a guest to them. They form this relationship and this bond if that sales rep knows what he's doing. He's nice while he's there. He's not condescending. He leads the way. He delivers a price very confidently, but not to the point where they wish the guy never showed up. So and here's another thing is, people look at sales reps like, oh, the guy that's what do I say, the very talkative. Most sales reps that are successful today are your introvert, not your extrovert. The people that listen, not talk. And so that's another piece of getting that rapport. People like to be listened to. They don't want someone coming in their house and that hasn't shut up for the last 25 minutes.
Right. Right. No, I think you're right. We all hear that in the world of sales, and people, I think, that are successful understand that it's probably from early on in all our careers in sales. You've thought It was just doing a lot of quick talking, fast talking, impressing them with all you know. But the reality is, and I've always said, I say always, for a lot of years now, I've always said or thought that if I just shut up and listen, build a rapport and listen, you, Chuck, will tell me exactly how to help you buy the product. I hate using the word sell, right? Because I don't sell anything anymore. When I stop, and I want to talk about this in a minute, so if I forget, remind me. But I went from selling, I've always been good, but I went from good to selling a lot when I stopped selling. I don't sell anybody
Right.
anything, right? And it's a concept that it's hard for some young guys getting started. Well, you sell fasteners. No, I don't. I assist people in getting product they need to make a profit, right? But I think it goes back to what I just said is if you just be quiet, Chuck Thokey will tell Randy exactly what it is I need to do to walk away with the contract. Am I wrong?
That is exactly right. That's why we look at the people that are truly willing to listen to what's being said. We do certain things like walkarounds because we want the homeowner to tell us why they need to buy. The sales training that is delivered today is so much different, even before COVID. When you look at your sales trainers, if you wanted to look at it and say, hey, what sales trainer should we be talking to? It's the sales trainer that understands the modern day sale after COVID, even though the sale itself has not changed. People still want that personal touch. But what we want and what we're looking for now, because now the baby boomers are moving out, we got the millennials moving in. We have a whole nother way of selling because the
Right.
way that the baby boomers like to buy is no way close to how the millennials like to buy, because that's
Right.
who the new buyers are coming in as. And millennials like to know why. Why do they need it?
Mhm.
Why should they buy from you? Where the baby boomers, I mean, for whatever reason, they reacted to the higher pressure, for whatever reason. And so,
Right.
but with the millennials, that they love to understand the person that they're buying from, and they really want to know why.
Yep. That's awesome. So you sold in home and you still do a little bit, I'm sure, when you do training for
I
specific
do.
companies. But so you co-founded Top Rep, which is a
Yeah.
professional sales training program. Tell me about why did you start it? What was the catalyst to that? And let's walk through that a little bit because I'm sure there's people that that could take great advantage of attending one of your Top Rep training programs. So let's walk us through that if you don't mind.
Yeah. So Jim Johnson and I formed Top Rep because we have been speaking all over the country for many, many years. And we've been speaking in some of these sales training organizations. And we got together one day and we decided that there are so many things that if they would just do this or they would just do that, that it would make the perfect sales training. And at that moment, we're like, well, why don't we do it? And it started out as we're just going to do one, and we're going to make the perfect sales training. We're going to put it out there, and that was last June, and it was in Texas. It was in New Braunfels, Texas, and we sold it out so quick. And we were trying to figure out how we can get more people in this room, but we actually packed this room, and it was a competition. And not only a competition, but it was your peers that actually graded you. So we would teach you a phase of the sale, and then you would go off into what we call these dog fights. So top rep, top gun. So then you would go off in these dog fights, and you would role play with the other peers that were there, and you didn't know any of them. They were all from different companies, and
Right.
you would role play with them, and then you were given a score. And at the end, you could see everybody's scores starting to match up. And what we found is that these top reps, the people that actually were the top reps, were the leaders. Not that they were sales managers, but they were the leaders of the group. They would go in not only doing a really good job inside that role play, but they would help the others out. So that is for me, that's a true sales professional. That's somebody that's not, that they're selfless. Let's put it that way. They're selfless, that they want to do good themselves, but they want to see other people do well as well. And so that's what we saw when these what we call black shirts, which are the top 10 sales reps, and then the person that got the actual top rep award. They were all the leaders of the groups that they were in. And so when you come out, it's a complete boot camp. So it's not like you're just going to be sitting there writing things down. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's a good nugget. No. It's a complete from A to Z, from the day before the appointment, how you get ready for that appointment, how you show up, what is it you're going to do during that appointment, how are you going to present the pricing of the appointment, but most importantly, what happens when the homeowner gives you a stall, an excuse, or an objection, and what happens at that point? Because ultimately, when we look at a sales professional, I can hire somebody for $16 an hour to go in and to say hi, to take a look at somebody's bathroom, kitchen, their roof, whatever, and come back down, give them some options, and give them some pricing. But I'm going to hire a sales professional to help that homeowner, guide them to a conclusion. So when they say, "Hey, you've done a great job, but we just need to sit down. We just need to think about it." Well, we teach them how to go through that modern day style so that it gives the opportunity for them to think about it. But now we want to know what it is that they need to think about. We already know its price, but we need to guide them to that piece. And once we get them there, then we're going to work our way through that. But ultimately, we're going to give them that time to think. We're going to give them the opportunity to talk to their dad. We're going to work through any of the objections, the stalls, and excuses that they have professionally, and so that it doesn't feel like, man, I'm never going to get this person out of my house.
Right.
When it's time to go, it's time to go. But there's many times, and most of the time, they're asking for your help. They just don't want to just tell you, "Hey, can you help me buy this?" Nobody ever says that. They're going to give you that code of, "Hey, we never buy anything the night of. Hey, I understand what you're saying. You're just going to have to give us some time to think about it." That's their code to saying, "Hey, I need some more from you. I need you to help me, guide me through this, because I really don't even know how we're going to afford this."
Right. That's, and I think I've got to believe that when people learn that method, the cancellation rate has got to be tremendously lowered, right? Because the harder you push, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I got to believe in the in-home sales, the harder you do that hard bang and close, the cancellation rate goes up and up and up. Because using my encyclopedia deal, I bought encyclopedias. I didn't cancel them, but if I realized that I could have canceled, I probably would have. Right. But what good does it do to walk away with the sale that you've got a 70% chance in the next 2 to 3 days? Because it's 3 days right to rescission, right? Typically.
Right.
What good does it do to walk out there and call Chuck and say, "Hey, I got another big sale today, dude"? And no, you don't, because tomorrow they called and canceled because they didn't like anything about what went down, right? So, do you see a drastic improvement in that lack of cancellation rate, whatever you call it?
Very much so. It used to be where we were all afraid of the 3-day right of rescission. Now we actually bring it up. We bring it up to the homeowner as that's a selling tool, that we use. But when it comes right down to it, we help the homeowner understand that, this is a decision that we're going to come to together. This isn't something I'm going to shove it down your throat, and then I'm going to hope, wish, and pray that I don't get the phone call in 3 days.
Right. Yeah. It's a good friend of mine, and I think that falls into a little bit, just maybe when you said that. I don't know if you know Marvin Montgomery. He's a good friend of mine. He's been on my show. You get Marvinized if you talk to Marvin. That's his little stick. But he always talks when we've been together, or he spoke places, is you got to stop, quoting and hoping, right? And you got to stop quoting and hoping. So many guys, right? They quote and hope, and what you're talking about, it sounds like, what I love is that there's not going to be that cancellation in all likelihood, because you did not sell the customer. They actually asked you to buy. There's a big difference, right, in concept.
That's right. That's right. And there's so many times when I'm out and I have a sales rep with me, whether it's a client or my own sales reps, and they'll say, "Hey, I never saw you even ask him to buy anything." I said, "I did. I asked him 4 times. but I didn't just go in there and say, "You ready to buy? Are you ready to go?
Right.
Come on, let's go
Right.
ahead and let's sign this contract." It's not done that way. I asked him 4 times, and not even my sales rep could tell that I actually asked him to buy. It was just easy for them to understand that it was the natural progression of a masterful presentation.
And I think that's key, Chuck. And I love that because I think a masterful presentation, I like that term, because if it's done right, whether it's in long-term B2B like I do, or in the obviously very relative short term of same call or close type of sales, if you walk them through the proper steps, the proper channels, uh, the next logical thing is, well, they're going to, in your case, sign a contract and buy the roof. Or in my case, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give you a few pallets of fasteners because I like what you've done here. It's almost like you don't even have to ask them for it; they're ready to give it to you, right?
That's right. Yeah, and that's what we're leading up to when we're trying to get our commitments, and we still do that, and that's something we've done for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
But when we get down to giving them that option, what option do you want? You give them in systems. Again, something that is always worked. Long ago, still works today. It's still the good, better, best. If you can give
Mm-hmm.
the homeowner the option when they say, "Oh, your price is too much," which one? You're the one that's picking them. You're the one that picks the price that you pay. So
Right.
we still do some of those, but inside of the wording that we use, to help them understand how to center in on a certain system, we use certain wording, certain ways to lead them along, so that they pick the system that is truly right for them. I know it's right for them, but if I told them that this is what they need to choose, they would draw back. But
Right.
again, when you're selling anyone, whether you're selling your wife or a friend or whatever, make it look like it's their idea.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. So you're giving them numerous good, better, and best options. They're all a good option, right? They all will work. But if they're buying the best option as they go through this, right? They're saying, I think I'll take the best underlayment instead of the cheap underlayment, right? Then there should
Right.
be no shock at the end, or less of a shock with the price, because you chose that, Mr. Homeowner, right? We talked about it as it's going to cost you $1,000 more on your roof to have this versus this. Yes, that's what I think I want, right? So when you walk through that, it eliminates a lot of that objection and that price objection at the end. I've got to believe.
That's exactly right. We are prepared to handle any objection, but in many cases, especially today, we don't have to use those.
Mm-hmm.
We, as long as you use the steps of the sale, the phases of the sale, it usually is a very easy purchase for the homeowner. And when you look at it, we're usually the most expensive option. But again, we're going to put ourselves into that blue ocean. We're going to make ourselves look different. There are certain materials we use, and there's also certain ways to describe our warranties, so that when it's time to make that decision, we also go through a what we call our pledge, which is like a price and value guarantee. We're going to let them continue to shop us out. And then I'm going to ask them, has anybody else come in here and told you that you can go ahead and buy from us, and you can continue to shop us out until the day that this product's installed? And they're like, no. That's how confident we are that you're never going to find anybody that can even hold a candle to what we can do for you. Is that the peace of mind you were looking for when you first called Top Rep? That kind of thing.
Right, right. Because that confidence level right there is huge, right? Because if you're willing to let them do that, that is saying without saying, I know you're not going to find a better deal, and I believe it that much that go ahead and try if you want, and that takes all that. It takes a lot of that sting out of that, or concern out of that, right out of the get go.
That is for sure. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so beautiful. So how do people? How often are you doing top rep? I think you might have mentioned that, but you're doing them every 2 or 3 months, or how often do you do them, Chuck?
So the last couple of years, we've done 4 a year. This will be the one at the end of this month, August 23rd and 24th in Philadelphia, will be our last one this year. Starting next year, we're going to do 2 a year.
Okay.
We've kind of gone through and gotten so many, and we've sold out all but maybe 2 of our events. And so starting next year, we're going to find larger venues to bring
Okay.
in people, and we're going to focus on that personal touch as well.
Great. So, with that in mind, besides the top rep, obviously people can reach out to you and hire you for training their sales team, training their customer service group. I assume their canvassers. I mean, you probably get involved in all aspects, not just the sales rep. Is that I think that's accurate.
Yeah. So us, as far as Contractor Coach Pro, you can go to contractorcoachpro.com and you can see all of what we do. But we have 5 different coaches, and we all look at different aspects of your business. Instead of going to a business coach per se, and this person tries to be all things to all people, we specialize. So if you're going to come in and you're going to work with your HR department, we're going to do some role mapping. We're going to map out the entire company. Then you're going to work with Roz. If you're going to look at your back end and take a look at your CFO and how your finances are put in order, you're going to work with Jenny. So, I mean, you're going to work with different people so that we can center in on exactly what we do best, not what this is what I do best, but yeah, I can kind of do that too. And
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I'm sure I can help you with that.
So, do you is that an all-encompassing program, or is it a la carte, so to speak, too? Can people choose and pick where they want the help or need the help, or is it kind of an all-in-one?
So when they first come in, then we're going to do an assessment with them. So it's not that we're going to let you come in and we're going to take you through the whole program, because you may not need pieces and parts of it. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of these much larger companies usually will come in and they go straight to me, because they're just needing that sales piece. I mean, they could probably teach, most people, how to do their finances or their HR, but they've got to get that modern look at sales. Then you have some of the smaller companies where we have a boost program where they may not be able to afford one-on-one coaching, so we bring them in as a group, and you have
Okay.
like 4 or 5 different companies, and therefore you're going to be taken through that entire program, and that's just because you might be $1 million company, and so
Mm-hmm.
it helps you to be able to afford it and gets you all the information. It may take you longer to get it because now you're in with a bunch of other companies and you're going to go
Right.
through the whole program, rather than say you're going to come in and what you need is you need to work with Jenny and you also need to work with Chuck.
Gotcha.
Or if you need to work with the entire organization, we can do that as well.
Beautiful. So, and final thing I want to throw out, I guess, is you obviously you mentioned it earlier, and you and I met in person the first time. I think it was with Todd and the boys at Isaiah Industries at the Metal Roof Summit. Um, so
Yeah.
you, which excellent speech, by the way. Uh,
Thank you.
Dynamic, good speaker, and people can hire you also to come and do speeches at events and so forth. Also, if that's the desire, is that correct?
They can. So I speak at all different types of events, sales related, as well as doing motivational talks as well. And then, of course, bringing me into the organization. I do like a kickoff. So I do many, many. When it comes to the spring, I am so slammed with kickoffs. I'll
I'll bet.
fly in and really get the team moving. And then at the same time, I like to add in some training as well. So they get a chance to not only get motivated, get moving, and get really motivated about the year. So it's coming into 2023. This is what we have in store for
Mm-hmm.
2023. This is what the market's going to be like. We need to dominate the market, and so to dominate the market, and then I'll go right into some training as well, so that they get a lot of fun, they get a lot of motivation, as well as they get stuff that they can use in the field themselves.
Beautiful. So, last question. I'm going to put you on the spot here on the crystal ball. 2023. What are we seeing? I know we all know all this. We got the midterms coming. We got all the
Yeah.
stuff, supply chain and price increases, inflation. The world of politics is messed up as it is. We got all that stuff, but our industry, I come from the wholesale manufacturing side. You're out at the leading edge, if you will, but it's been pretty darn good for all of us, right? What do we think? What's 2023 going to be in the world of Chuck?
I'm going to tell you, 2023 is going to be a correction in the industry. It doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It's going to be a correction. So you really need to, over the last couple of years, you could stumble over success, and going into 2023, there's going to be a bit of a correction. That means that you really got to be on your game as far as sales itself is concerned. That we have to go back to the basics. We got to really bring our sales reps back and teach them how to sell again, because they've forgotten over the last 3 years, how to sell, or last 2 years, they've forgotten how to sell because it's been so easy.
Right.
When that ship it sails so easily, I mean, everybody's sitting back doing this and can still come out with $1 million month, $2 million month. And going into 2023, you can still do it, but you better be on your game. You better be ready.
Yep. Perfect. Love it. Well, Chuck, I truly appreciate the time and coming on. People, if they can get a hold of you at topreptraining.com, would that be the right place to get a hold of you if they want to get some of your services or follow you more?
Yeah, they can also go and just email me at salescoach@contractorcoachpro.com, or they can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn, just under my name, Chuck Thokey.
Perfect. Well, Chuck, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and jumping on. I know you're busy and got a lot going, and I'm glad this day worked out. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Randy.
Absolutely, my friend. We'll talk soon. There you go, my friends. Chuck Thokey. If you don't get inspired looking and reading and watching Chuck, yeah, you're not alive. And listen, probably a lot of great nuggets there. I think the most important was at the very end, which is 2023 is a correction year, not a bad year. So don't go into panic mode. Don't get all worried and start selling off your cars and your horses and your dogs. Just remember, the good operators, the good salespeople are going to not only survive but still do very, very well. It's the ones that aren't so good that probably are going to struggle. So if you don't want to fall into that game, become a better salesperson, become a better operator. Get a hold of Chuck if you need some help, because he is, seriously, I've watched him speak personally. He's the best for a reason. So make sure you get a hold of Chuck. So what are we doing? Let's see, next week we're going to be back Building Wins Live again on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. And we've got a good friend of my buddy pal, director, producer, Wes Wyatt, Kellen Ann. Kellen's going to be on next week, and she's the with the cards that wow. She's the lady that wows, and we're going to talk about a lot of things that Kellen does. And I talked to her today on the phone a few hours ago, and she is going to make a very exciting introduction on Building Wins Live. So don't miss that. You're going to love it. So for now, go make it a great day. Love what you do what you love, and remember, live it, love it, own it. And as always, remember, make today your best day ever. Until tomorrow. Got to run. Cheers, y'all.